So I get to tell you one of my very, very favorite Hollywood-based stories in this activity. So we have encountered the speech that Julie Andrews gave at the 1964 Golden Globes. She was nominated for Best Actress, and you got to see that she won the award. She also went on to win the Oscar as well, just a couple of months later. But what we don't probably know is how she got there and what led up to it. And having access to that information will probably completely change how you perceive that short and sweet speech. So Julie Andrews is one of my very favorite actresses and singers ever, so I have learned a lot more about her, and that's why I've had access to this information. I sought it out. I'm not quite that old, but I really, really wanted to know what was going on, and it made me fall in love with her even more. So Julie Andrews, before she got into movies, was a Broadway performer. And right before Mary Poppins was made, she was doing a Broadway show called My Fair Lady. She was playing the lead role, Eliza Doolittle, and the cast was just stellar. She is an award-winning performer on so many levels, but during the run of this show on Broadway, My Fair Lady, there were people out there who thought this would make a great movie. So it was the Warner Brothers. You probably know of the WB or the Warner Brothers. We heard Jack Warner mentioned in the speech. Jack Warner was the one who really wanted to turn the Broadway production into a movie. So he contacted the Broadway cast and crew and the producers and directors, and they decided that yes, this would translate really well to a movie format. So they began the process of getting the movie going, and it basically entailed shutting down the Broadway show so the actors who were performing these roles on Broadway could be in the movie version instead. Well, after they shut down the Broadway run of My Fair Lady, Jack Warner decided that he really didn't like Julie Andrews, especially in the role of Eliza Doolittle. So at the last minute, he actually recast the role of Eliza Doolittle and gave it to Audrey Hepburn. Not Audrey, Katharine Hepburn. Audrey, I can't remember. She gave it to Hepburn, who actually didn't even have the ability to sing the roles. She had to do some lip syncing, and Julie Andrews was known for her voice. So all of a sudden, this movie is being made without Julie Andrews. The Broadway production has shut down. Julie Andrews didn't have a job. So she was trying to decide what sort of project she should work on, what should she do next, when she got a call from Walt Disney. And Walt Disney said, hey, I'm making this movie called Mary Poppins. Would you be interested in the lead role? And Mary Poppins, of course, got made with Julie Andrews in that lead role because she said, yes, I have nothing else to do, might as well. So she had a movie coming out, a musical, that was competing against My Fair Lady in all of the awards ceremonies at the same time. So Julie Andrews was nominated for Best Actress against the movie that she thought she was going to be in. And when she won the award and you watched the acceptance speech, who did she thank? Not Walt Disney, who was the one who created Mary Poppins, the movie that she was in, but she actually thanked Jack Warner and described the whole situation as a very happy time and complimented this movie that Jack Warner made, which is My Fair Lady, which she wasn't in. So rewatch that 28-second speech video. And with this additional information, think about what she was really saying. And then recognize that, we can reevaluate our perceptions of things. I think you're going to have a completely different opinion of that speech. And I'm going to create a second discussion board where you can identify how going through this perception check after receiving additional information completely changes your perception of a speech. So I hope you found it a really interesting story. Again, Julie Andrews is one of my favorites, so I just like using it as an example. But also, our first impressions can actually be extremely flawed. And if we go through this process of a perception check, that's when we can make corrections and actually deal with realities rather than just what we think we have figured out.